everybody's got the workbook, hopefully, and is ready to rock and roll today. This is all of our clients are, I think anybody can benefit, some more than others, from resales, recaptures, and referrals. So, if you sell a thing one time and you never see the people that you sold it to again, that's very, very rare in our industry, just because our market is so small and, the people that buy airplanes buy, typically buy more than one. 3 years later, they're in the market again, or they're trying to sell the same airplane that they bought, or whatever. So there's lots and lots of reasons to do resales, recaptures, and referrals. And I like to use the analogy of the phone. And Ying, I know you just got a new phone. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The phone is no good without the service. Most of us have a service plan or something like that we pay every month for our phone. In the US, it's really popular also to buy Apple Care or, some kind of insurance on your phone. So if you break it or you lose it or something goes wrong or it gets messed up or, because all kinds of things happen to people's phones. So a lot of us will pay a small monthly fee to be able to just take it in and get it repaired or replaced if something goes wrong with it. So it used to be, a lot of people had the mindset, and, maybe older people have more of this mindset. You buy something, you own it, you keep it forever. You buy software in a box, you take it home, you install it on your computer, you have the box on a shelf. If anything ever goes wrong with that software, or if you buy a new computer or anything else, you still have that software. You can put it on a different computer. You own it, you keep it forever. Or you buy music, and you have a record or a CD or a cassette or something, and you have that music and that song you will never buy again because you have it forever in your car, in your house, wherever you want to take it. But we have gone to a much more subscription-y model of business in everything. You think about a lot of different things, and now they have subscriptions where they will provide products on a regular basis or provide service with the products or other things like that. So that's, another way to do those resales and recaptures much more easily is to start thinking about our products and services as a subscription. All right. So this changed my life, as a business. When we first got into doing marketing for companies, we were building a website or doing a brochure or doing a thing, one job at a time. And that's really not a sustainable model because you don't get to know your customers that well. And you also don't get the repeat business. You don't have the recurring income. You don't have a lot of different things that really make things different. So what we're going to cover today, why we want to do resales, recaptures, and referrals, why this is like the most profitable workshop we run every year. It's not our most popular. Everybody loves some of the others, like the social media one and the video one. And, people love to come to those because they're fun. This one is maybe not quite so much flash and glamour, but it is definitely the most profitable campaign that a lot of our clients run every year. And it's the most profitable campaign that we run most years because we are selling to people who are already familiar with us. So we'll talk about this subscription model. We'll talk about recaptures and referrals, and we'll talk about success factors for all of the above. And I'm hoping you guys are coming kind of with a example in mind or a client in mind, maybe one that's on your list that you could do this for or do more of this for so that, as we're going through this, we're thinking about this. So in aviation in particular, most of the money is made after the first transaction. There's an old saying that the old way to do business is to find a customer to buy your product. But the actual model or the newer model is you get a customer to, you sell a product to get a customer. So your first sale in some cases you may actually even, especially for a brand new business looking for a pilot customer or something like that, they may lose money on their first customer, but they want to get that case study. They want to get that repeat business. They want to get that ongoing relationship because that second, third, fifth, 12th, 25th transaction is really where the money is made in the aviation industry and in others too. But I think in our industry more than any other, because there's such a small group of potential customers that we need to do everything that we can to make those relationships uh, worthwhile, profitable for everyone, and all of that. So feel free to jump in anywhere with questions and things. We got a real small group today. Okay, customer lifetime value. This is a math problem, which, sometimes makes me crazy because I'm not really a math person. John's rubbing his hands together because this is his jam. Customer lifetime value, this is one of the most important numbers if we can calculate it, and not very many people are able to do this. We just started doing this 3 years ago and more extensively 2 years ago and, really extensively this year, knowing what a customer is worth to us because we have the data that shows how much do we typically own or do we typically earn from a customer? So it's basically what they pay each month times their average customer lifespan plus the value of the referrals they give us. So all of that is, that's the simple version is that top line. And then we can break down the customer value, their average purchase value by the average frequency rate. So, that's just another way of adding a little more detail to that. So a lot of people think, okay, well, we've got a customer that pays us X this month. And, so then we treat them differently than customers that maybe have been with us forever, but don't pay us as much each month. So sometimes the customer lifetime value is higher for customers that don't pay us as much each month, but they're giving us referrals, and they have been with us forever and all of those things. So all of those things need to be taken into account. And, I like to um, maximize all of this as much as we possibly can. So, and it's for their benefit as well as ours. Usually the people that really love our services are the ones that are referring people. The ones that are referring people are ones that are really getting the most value from us. And then they're also improving their network because they're inviting more people in to this community. So then, their clients and their partners and other things are also doing business better, and it improves the whole ecosystem. So in a small community, this is super, super important. Um, in a lot of, if you ever meet a rude salesperson, you know that their customer lifetime value is all made on one transaction. They're just trying to get that one transaction out of the deal, and then they never have to see you again. So, if you have door-to-door salespeople that are trying to sell you something, they're never gonna see you again, that's like a one-time deal. In aviation, that's flipped on its head. Almost everybody that we talk to, it is not the first time we've talked to them or the last time that we've talked to them, even as a, potential customer or an actual customer. So, John, how do we do on the math? Does this look right to you?
Course.
Of course.
You've done it forever.
All right. Okay, cool. So what we do not want to do is overload our customers with too many referral requests, with too many resale requests, all of those kinds of things, because they're busy people. So they don't want to be getting 6 emails a day. They don't want to be getting bombarded with messages and other things. But we do want to make sure that we are including um, resales, recaptures, and other things in our regular workflow so that it's combined with other things that we do. And it's just part of the process of working with them. And we need to do a better job of this because I talk about it all the time, but we don't always do it. So, like we get referrals for our customers, um, and we get testimonials for our customers, but we don't really do that for ourselves as much as maybe we should, and that's because it's kind of awkward, for us to ask, and we act as that neutral third party when we do interviews for customers and saying, "Hey, so is there anything you could tell us about working with props and, um, you know, how's that working for you? What do you enjoy about it? What do you not enjoy about it? And is there anybody else that should be working with them that isn't yet?" And so as a neutral third party, we can do that. But, we also need to do that for ourselves, and we need to find ways to do that. All right. So this is kind of the model for a subscription company. Um, we acquire customers, so, we call this prospecting or acquisition, and then on the other side of that is what we call churn. So there's getting new customers, there's customers going away. And if you've been with us for a really long time, we had an issue for a while with acquiring customers that weren't really the best fit for us. We weren't as particular as we should have been, and we had a lot of people coming and going. So there was one year when we lost as many customers as we acquired. Uh, I think Adila, you were with us that year. That was 2 years ago. So you're muted, I think.
2024, I guess, where we had a lot of jet brokers, and then they came and one by one they left. I think that, yeah, a
Right.
lot of clients came and a lot of went away.
And it was a lot of work for Adila and for the rest of us because we were doing onboarding and then they were getting what they wanted from us and they were leaving. So our business model was not providing enough value further down the road. And we were also not picking customers that were really committed to a long-term relationship. And what that did was it really caused us to invest a lot in these people, and then they would go off and do their own thing, which is fine, but that wasn't our business model. Our business model is long-term relationships, and people really get the value out of that. So we wanna make sure the acquisition is bigger than the churn, and so, making this number bigger and this number smaller is what we're really after, and the way that we do that is with retention, and with upsells and cross sells. So every month we are earning our customers' business again. And every one of our customers is doing this too. So every time Daniel does an appraisal, he is earning that customer's next transaction. So, the way that he behaves during that acquisition, the way he treats the customer, the way he meets the other people involved and, makes sure everybody is gets the information they need and is well communicated with. That is upsells and cross sells for his next appraisal. So if he's working for a financial institution, they may need other appraisals done, so you're selling his work to them. He's working with a buyer and a seller usually, often, so if he's fair and reasonable and, articulate and all of those things, then those people are gonna be impressed, and so they're likely to buy from him. So that's a cross sell or a sale to a different person involved in the transaction. So that just improves this wheel, which improves more acquisitions and keeps people in this cycle of working with us. And this is just another way of looking at that cycle we talked about a couple of slides ago. This one here. So, everybody else has a funnel. We have a circle. And this is part of the reason for the circle is because we look for that resales, recaptures, and referrals, which pull it in to the next sale. And that's a really important part. So if we're looking at this by the numbers, most of our really healthy clients with a really healthy business model that have been in business for more than 4 years or so have about a 50% uh, rate of getting new customers by resales, recaptures, or referrals. So half or more of their revenue comes from this. And in our case, it's more than half of our revenue because, we aren't doing a ton of acquisition. Most of our revenue comes from resales and recaptures and referrals. So 50% or more, which is really different than any other industry that I can think of. I don't know if there's another one. John, maybe you know of a different industry that does 50% or more resales, recaptures, and referrals, but, I would say aviation is pretty unique in this way.
Yeah, there may be one or two, but they're not as large as this one.
Right. Exactly. So, this is something that is unique, and something that, a lot of marketing companies that are serving aviation companies don't even know this, much less optimize for this. So, this is really kind of one of our it's secret sauce for us, and it's so secret that not even our clients know this as well as they should.
And probably because retail tries to do this, and the way they do it is they send 1,000 emails. I get sometimes 3 emails a day from the same company,
Yeah.
and it does not work.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
especially in retail, I mean, come on, guys. I mean, I get Harbor Freight, they send me 3 or 4 emails a day.
Oh, good grief. Yeah. And you
I was
probably Oh, go ahead.
I was about to create two separate emails for the workshop and the group office hours. Thankfully, we are safe.
Right, and actually we have had paying clients, unsubscribe from our emails because they get too many emails. And then I end up having to call them and say, "You've unsubscribed from our emails. Do you want to," because now I can't send you email. And that's fine as long as you're on base camp all the time, but you're not gonna know if something is going on. And that's a huge problem. So we can't do that. But anyway, I think every other industry has caught on to this. There are actually companies in the US, I don't know if this is happening in other places in the world, that sell even like razors and razor blades, that men use to shave their faces and, so on. They will sell a subscription for razors or razor blades and shaving cream and that kind of thing. So, I think other industries are catching on to this, that this is really a good way to do business. And also that, this is a really good way to serve your customers because you get to know them better over time and you get to find out what else they need besides what you're providing and also what would make what you're providing more valuable to them. All right. So every one of our customers could probably benefit from a subscription even if they're not a subscription already. So, regular deliverable deliveries of consumables, like the razor blades, or, in the case of, we used to have an aircraft detailing company, they could do regular deliveries of window cleaner or something like that. All of these people could do some kind of regular deliveries of something that gets used up all the time. Consulting retainer agreements, if people pay money to an attorney or a lawyer or a insurance person or whatever, so that people are there when they need them. That is a very legitimate way to earn money. Paid newsletters. There are people in the industry. John Ostrower is one. He used to work for the Wall Street Journal. Now he writes aviation news for a company called the Air Current. It's actually a really, really good aviation-only newspaper, and, he charges money for it, and people pay him for his newsletter. Of course, he's a career journalist, and he's made his life doing that. This is kind of a hard sell now. A lot of folks there's so much information on the internet that it's really hard to get paid for information, but he's doing it very successfully. Software as a service. So this would be like Vision and Schedflex and others where they sell people a monthly subscription for software plus service. So they take care of any problems that come up. They do training for people to help them use the software, etc., and so on. Data access. There are some companies like JetNet and what's the other one? There's a bigger one. Um, AirPack is a smaller one. There's a bunch of ones that do charter flights, subscriptions to the FAA data that's really hard to get just because it's so big and unwieldy and it's a government source of information. So there are companies that actually will sell you a subscription and make that data easier to use so that you can download a mailing list of all of the King Airs in Kentucky if you wanted to, or, whatever the situation is. Short courses, that would be things like a um, email course or a 3 module course or a 5 module course, something like that. Webinars like this one, which is a one-time deal. Sometimes people will charge for those depending on the organization and other things. This was kind of popular during the pandemic, especially where people had to get their continuing education credits and they couldn't do classes, so they would do paid webinars, and that's kind of persisted since then. There's a few companies that do those. Most of the short courses and webinars and other things that we deliver are intended for marketing purposes. So, we use them to educate customers and to help them become better customers and things like that. So, that's why we record this webinar and distribute it and do all the things that we do. So we get paid for providing educational materials, but it's not directly. So those are some ideas for subscription services, and here are some examples. We kind of talked about this. Um, Catering, cleaning, or maintenance supplies, those can be delivered as a subscription. Attorneys and consultants get retainer fees and things like that. Flight Global, we just talked about. Speed News is another one that's pretty popular. Software as a service, Salesforce for Flight, or among our customers, Schedflex, Vision, etc. JetNet or AirPack. This paid subscriptions or paid schools, King Schools, John and Martha King, they are kind of legends in the United States. They do flight training online. So, your ground school, your instrument training, other things, if you want to learn how to do a particular thing or how to pass an exam or something like that in the aviation industry, King Schools has some really, really good online training. Cessna also provides online training for people that purchase their aircraft, and other things like that, just to educate their customers and bring them up to speed. And there's a thing called ACC Training Hub that's for dispatchers and other people to keep their credentials up to speed, or to earn their credentials in the first place. And sometimes it's part or all of what they need to do to get a license or whatever in the industry. So those are all business ideas that are basically, they're selling information, they're selling content, they're selling marketing. And I put education and marketing together a lot more than most people, because I think if you're educating people, you're also selling them an idea. Whether you're teaching second grade and you're trying to get people to remember a bunch of vocabulary words, or whether you are teaching people about a product or service, either way, you're selling them an idea. And, if you don't do a good job of selling the idea, then they're not going to remember it. They're not going to use it. They're not going to do whatever it is that you're trying to persuade them to do. So I really think education and content are the same thing. And every one of our clients should be educating their customers about how to get better value out of whatever it is that they sell. So, if somebody buys Schedflex, for example, which is uh, the crew management system, for their airline or whatever, and they don't know how to use it, they are not going to get really great value out of it. They're not going to have a great experience. They're not going to be good at managing their crew using this software. So without the education and without the next step, of selling them content or selling them education, it's just not gonna work as well, and they're not gonna renew their subscription, they're not gonna tell other people about it, they're not gonna have a great experience. So, Larry, coming back to our, business aircraft records, actually started a nonprofit organization to create courses because he was so disgusted with the way that aircraft records training was done in the schools that teach techs how to take care of airplanes. It was kind of treated as a afterthought. Yeah, but the records are so important. And, he was so disgusted with the way this was taught in schools that he created his own courses that we actually manage for him. So that's a really interesting thing of taking that to an extreme of, where the product becomes the education about the product.
Well, and to further elaborate, she says aircraft records are important.
Mhm.
There have been several instances where the records have been destroyed either by water, by fire, left in the back of a rental car,
Yeah.
and the aircraft is totaled.
Yeah.
They cannot fly it anymore. They can't use its parts. They can't do anything with it. It's just a total loss.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's how important the records are.
exactly. So Vision Aircraft Records, Avion Trace, Business Aircraft Records, those are 3 of our clients that are concerned with records, because they are so important. But yeah, I mean, that's just one example of why education is so, so important. So this is how you can make your subscription product more valuable. And we're not gonna go through all of these things, this is gonna be a workshop. One thing that I've learned from doing these webinars is that, a few years ago, I always thought that the people that come to these webinars or the people that watch them recorded, they are very, very busy people, and so we wanna pack as much into an hour as we possibly can, and that's not always the best approach because, there's just way more information than people can absorb and way more information than people can act on, so we're breaking this up into workshops, so this is an example of that. How to make a subscription more valuable, there's dozens of ways to do that, and every situation is different, so, diving into a case study is really probably the best way to teach or learn this, but if anybody has any questions or examples that we could throw in, we could do one quickly.
No, but I'm gonna add a
Yeah.
remark here. She talks about education, and she's got an advanced degree in education, so that's why she does it this way, and it's very effective.
I would be a teacher if I wasn't a marketer, but I am a teacher, and, we all are, actually. This is our job, is to teach people, and I think that's everybody's job. It's Larry's job, obviously he sees that, but a lot of our clients, that is exactly what they do, is they teach their customers how to do things better and how to serve their customers better, and that's what they do. So, of course, we do a lot of these things ourselves. We could probably do a lot of these things even better. So you guys might have some ideas about how ABCI could make our subscription more sticky, because we are a subscription. We are a recurring revenue model. And all of our clients should have some element of this, whether it's explicit or implicit. Every sale that they make should be making the next sale. One thing I'd like to do more, and this is why we offer the black level now, is on-site training and consultations. We did this a lot in our first couple of years of business. John and I would go to a client's place of business. We would meet everybody. We would tour the place. We would take pictures. We would do a lot of this stuff. We kind of got out of that as travel got more expensive and then the pandemic happened and a lot of other things happened. But there is something about being on site, and that's part of the reason we're thinking about getting together in November if we can make it happen. There's something about being together in the same place that cements this in a way that you can't do in any other way. So we need to encourage that with our clients as well. If they can sell in their local area so that it's easy for them to do maybe their onboarding, at least one in-person meeting. I think that really helps with their future marketing, makes things a lot stickier, makes those relationships a lot better, and makes it a lot easier to get resales, recaptures, and referrals. Um, Anything else stick out to anybody as something you'd like to talk about a little bit more? Success stories. This is so hard to do. just because everybody's so busy and it takes time, to schedule those success story interviews and, the people that we're interviewing are busy, the people that we're interviewing for are busy, it's just crazy, but I would like to do more of this for ABCI, of course.
Well, what's interesting is that everything that you have listed here,
Mhm.
except for one icon,
Mm,
uh, tends to imply electronic.
mm, mhm.
And so everybody knows paper still works. I bought my first airplane because I got a postcard,
Mhm.
right? So, and it wasn't just one. They sent me a postcard. I said, "Yeah, I need to do that." Finally got to where I can do this, and I lost the postcard. So I said, "Yeah, whatever. I'm not really." Well, then they sent me another one, and the same thing happened. And it took 3 or maybe 4 postcards before I said, "Damn it, these keep going away." So I made the phone call. The rest is history.
Mhm.
But paper works still.
Right. And we still send a box or a envelope every single month to every single client in the United States because of that perceived value. People feel like this is a premium service. We're getting a book in the mail with our reports and other things. So it's something that is heavy. It's something that, they go to their mailbox and they can see the value of what we're providing for them every single month. And it's a pain in the neck, to do those things, to print all of the reports and get them all stapled and sorted and everything else and get them all into envelopes, get labels on them, pay postage, all of that is, um, and people say, well, why do you still do that? And the reason is because this is a premium service. And, we really respect our customers enough to spend that time and effort making sure that they understand how valuable they are to us. And also, a lot of people feel like if they can pull a binder off the wall with their results from 3 years ago and compare it to now, they're gonna see, okay, I started with 10 LinkedIn followers and now I have 3,000, and, so, in the vast scheme of things, 3,000 followers doesn't look like a lot on LinkedIn, but if they compare it to where they've been, this is a long game, for most of our clients. So that's paper is permanent and it has that value as well. So yeah, subscriptions. If a client is looking at a campaign, we always love to have a physical component if we can do it, whether that's a postcard or a catalog or something printed. I think that's really still worth it.
I
Yeah.
love postcards or paper ads that have a QR code.
Yeah.
So easy to, contact them to or to send them a message or, look for more information. So I actually think this is a great idea.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I think we haven't done enough of is magnets and, stickers. So, we can design stickers and magnets and other things for people to put on their packages or to deliver with their product or other things like that. That might be something that we should consider adding to onboarding, creating an onboarding package. And, that's one of the workshops that we do, but having something that comes from you on a regular basis, even if it's just by putting a sticker on something that they're delivering anyway, making that custom and interesting and having the contact information someplace where they can access that later. All right. So recaptures. We do this every year. We make a list of our clients that we'd like to work with again for whatever reason. Maybe they stopped working with us because of something seasonal or a cash flow situation, or they had other priorities besides marketing at the time. Whatever the situation is, we make a list of our clients, and you guys will find this in Basecamp. Is the list of people that we want to reconnect with. Some we don't want to reconnect with. They were a bad fit to begin with. They didn't come to anything. They didn't, the ones that kind of didn't want to participate with our other clients, didn't want to um, do any of, they didn't really enjoy the collaborative model. They just wanted marketing done for them. But anybody that we think was a good fit and left for some other reason is somebody that we want to reach out to again. And we create an offer and a presentation. So the offer is something like, here's a reason that we should get back together. Whether that's their reason or our reason. Sometimes it's a discount or a bonus or something like that, some reason that, and it has to have some urgency to it, usually 30 to 60 days. If you come back to us within 30 or 60 days, we'll give you some extra office hours. We will provide a additional service or a discount of some kind. That would be the offer. And then the presentation, we like to do this in a few different ways. This is a multimedia presentation. So the list, customers, and we can do this for clients too. We have done this for clients to put together a recapture campaign. So we help them by going through, their list. Customers that left you or prospects that didn't buy for whatever reason, their last meaningful contact was somewhere between 6 months and 6 years ago. And we like to do somewhere between 20 and 50 names, people that you would like to do business with that it didn't work out for whatever reason. But, let's go back. Let's go back for them. The offer maybe is something that they wanted that you couldn't offer at the time. Maybe you didn't have time to get them scheduled, or maybe, they wanted a particular type of website that we didn't have the technology for at the time. Um, or maybe it's the same products and services that you offered last time, but now they have a different needs. They're a bigger company than they were a year ago or 5 years ago. Some kind of a bonus or a gift certificate or something like that is a nice way to position the offer. The presentation, I always like to include a mailed package if they're in the United States and their customers are in the United States or Canada or someplace that has really good mail service, and fairly inexpensive mail service so that we're not spending all of their money on postage and not having things ever show up. Um, some kind of a catalog or a brochure, some kind of a book or a calendar or branded tchotchkes or coffee mugs or pens or, something like that, just to make it more of a gesture of respect, about them and about the company, something to show that they're investing in the relationship and you're gambling a little bit of money that this would be a great way to move forward. Social media and event contacts and emails. So we're put together, something that includes more than one of these factors. The more, the better. So this is usually our recapture campaign. We research the prospect online, figure out, is it the same people as 5 years ago when we worked with them last? Is it different people? What's changed about the company? Are they doing something different, etc.? Do we really want to work with them? Did we have a good experience with them last? Let's talk to the team and say, did you like these people? Because life is too short to be working with people that we don't want to work with. So, do they make the final list for all of those reasons? And if yes, then we send a recapture package in the mail. We engage with them on social media. We send them 3 to 5 emails. Do they schedule an appointment? That's usually the kicker there, the next step in the sales process is, do we want to, talk more about how this would fit together? What would be different than last time? What's different for them? What's different for us? How do we move forward? Um, and then if that appointments results in either, yes, let's work together, or no, let's not work together now. The time's not right. The money's not right, whatever the situation is.
And you need to be innovative.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the marketing classes we went to at Kennedy
Mm.
told us about a guy who had been sending paper and paper and paper to this one prospective client that he wanted to get. The guy wouldn't even respond, didn't do anything. So he really got irritated and he went out and bought a steel trash can and sent it to him with a note saying, "Here's something you can put all that stuff I've been sending you." And the guy
Booked an appointment.
Booked an appointment.
Right.
But
Exactly. So
but you have to be innovative. You gotta that's what you have to know your client,
yeah.
prospective clients even.
Mhm. So I'm hoping you guys can take a look at the recapture campaign for this year, and you may have some ideas of, how we can make this more engaging. What is a physical product that would be more interesting, maybe? Because this is some place that we're willing to spend a little bit of money because this has a really good return on investment if we get even one, and we almost always. I don't think there's ever been a year that we run a recapture campaign and we have not got at least one customer out of the deal. So that is, and out of 20 to 50, that's a uh, really good return rate for marketing. So, yeah. Anyway, this is what the campaign looks like and what it includes. But we'd love to have your ideas on that campaign for us, and then also for your clients. If you can think of ways to not only, position their social media, their emails, their other things, maybe their email newsletters. Think about ways to position those so that we're thinking about resales, recaptures, and referrals. And this is one thing that we can do for our clients that is so over the top and that no other marketing company that I know of does because they just don't understand the aviation ecosystem as well as we do. All right. And, what's interesting is even, I'm gonna go back one. What's interesting is even if we don't end up working together again, sometimes we will get a referral out of the deal. So, one example is a, brokerage company, John knows who I'm talking about, that hasn't worked with us for 10 years, but they refer people to us on a fairly regular basis. And, they have their own internal marketing. Now they've kind of outgrown us. Um, we think they should be working with us because we think we could bring them a lot of value, but they do refer people to us all the time because they know we do great work. So, even if this doesn't result in them working with us, they may know people that would be a really good fit. And they know us because they've worked with us in the past. So they know, like, and trust us, as they say. Okay, so this is a book that we did years ago, but I love this point from John Jansch's referral engine, and that's the core talkable difference. So if you want people to refer you, they have to be talking about you. And John is the world's best Tesla salesman without even trying because he can't stop talking about his car. No matter where we go, he is talking about his car, to people at this restaurant that we go to every week with my mom. Everybody at that restaurant knows the coolest thing that John's car did this week, and
Yeah,
I'm
but it's what makes it even more interesting when they talk to me is that it's an 8-year-old car. Can you imagine what the new ones do?
yeah. So there are so many things, that are not boring about that car, so we need to think about what is it about our service, what is it about our client service that is unique and extraordinary and interesting and fun, about that, that's worth talking about, not just competitive advantage, okay, they're cheaper, they're better, they have better service, et cetera. That's all very boring, but something that is tangible, like, did you know that what is one of the talkable differences between your Tesla and my, um, truck, John?
Oh, there's only about
Right.
100.
Go ahead.
Um, well, we have long ago, I mean, like 20 plus years ago, I played around with solar, so we have solar on the house. So it doesn't cost us anything to drive anywhere in the valley. We just plug it in at night. The sun charges it the next day. We go out, we drive around. I mean, we go from where we are all over the Salt Lake Valley. I've gone almost 200 miles once to help my daughter do some stuff and just in the valley. And the worst time I've had with it so far is one time we had to go further than I thought, and I ended up putting $2 worth of juice in it.
At a supercharger, right?
Yeah, plugged into a Tesla supercharger. $2 said that's enough. Well,
Well, one thing that I really like about the Tesla, and you guys probably can't see this, but it has an app. So, and this is something that any of our clients could do is have some kind of a visible thing that people can just whip out and show somebody. If they're talking about, oh yeah, my marketing company is so great because they send me these reports and I can see what my LinkedIn is doing because of this dashboard that Angel does for me or that Ying does for me every month. And it's really, really cool. So
the app she's talking about,
yeah,
it does a lot of stuff, but she likes it because we get ready to take a trip. She'll plan it out on her phone, push the button, and it goes right to the car and sets it all up. And all we got to do is get in it and push the button. We go.
yeah. So it does the trip planning for us. But yeah, something that they can pull out their phone and show somebody and say, "Look, this is why this company is different than every other." Or Skepflex does the same thing. They have an app so that people can pull it out and show people this is how this is different than the hard way of doing this, and so on. So having something that is very easy for a customer to talk about or explain to others, and visuals are really important as well. But yeah, we can think about that for each of our customers, and this should be included in their social media. This should be included in a lot of the things that they do because uh, this is marketing. This is basics of what we can do for people. Another thing is to set those referral entry points. So, even in our sales process, one of the very first things that we send people who ask, can you send me some more information about your company? We send them case studies and we send them a sheet of testimonials from people. And so then they go, oh, wow, people talk about this company really nicely. So, if we are doing business together, they're probably going to hit me up for a testimonial. When our painter came to our house and, did some painting in our house, they gave us a bunch of testimonials. And then, of course, we were kind of expecting when they were done painting, they asked us to give them a review or a testimonial. Yeah. So in the referral entry points, set the expectations during the sales process by providing those testimonials and talk about it. I do that with our clients, usually when we do the second or third consultation, yeah, we want to make you a case study, of for your website for this particular SEO problem that we're trying to solve. Or, we were just talking with Outprops doing all of their trade show stuff. We don't often get to do all of it at the same time, but this was the first time they've done a trade show in a while and they needed everything. So that's a great case study. And we kind of set it up when we were working with them, saying, we should treat this as a case study. They're into it because they want to be a success story. They want it to go well from their perspective, and they're usually happy to participate in that kind of thing. Segmenting customers from partners, creating turnkey referral tools. There's a thing that I don't think we use enough. It's called Alchemer, and it's a survey tool. And we can create customer satisfaction surveys for our charter companies and for others so that they can send an email after a trip or something like that that has a QR code or whatever. Adila, you're muted. I don't know if you had a comment or.
I'm just coughing.
Oh, okay.
At
Sorry. Then stay muted. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
And the other thing is,
Yeah.
if you make, and this is just prior to this
Yeah.
because it helps, but if in fact somebody says not right now, or if they decide to leave, you want them to leave as a friend
Hmm.
because they might come back.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Matter of fact, we're supposed to be talking to somebody later on in the week that left.
Hmm. Yeah, they weren't even on my list because, I didn't think it was a possibility, but we'll see how that goes. That will be fun. Yeah. So, if we make that part of the process after a flight or 90 days after a flight or, whatever the situation is, send an email with a link to a customer satisfaction survey. And one of the questions on that is, who else do you know that could benefit from our service? And then that way it will be a natural point to ask for those referrals. And that's an example of a turnkey referral tool. Or it could be even on paper, a card that you send people after the service saying, who else do you know? And, if you want to do an incentive saying for every client that you bring in, you get an extra office hour, which is what we do. Plan for logical collection of those things so that you're able to follow up with them and also follow up with the person that referred them and let them know, hey, that guy you referred, we're not going to work together, but I'm really, really happy that you made that referral. It's not a good fit, but not this time, but we really appreciate you thinking of us. Or we're working together now. And so now, they're part of the group or part of the family. And we need to do more frequent and regular requests. Not too frequent and not too regular, so we're not driving people crazy, but more than what we're doing, I think. And the same for all of our clients. And then we need to measure and adjust uh, how this works. If they're not getting any, then obviously we're not doing enough. And if we're getting too many, or if we're getting ones that are completely inappropriate, or people are referring people that have the wrong idea about what we do or whatever, then maybe that needs to be adjusted. But so those are referral entry points. And then, of course, we're going to be doing workshops on 4 different elements of this. Right after this session, we're going to be talking about the subscription models and how to make things into a subscription model. So, and the very best thing is you can automate and delegate this to us. So if you're a client or a potential client or anything else, and you're not sure where to start with your um, referrals, resales, recaptures, or if you're thinking, this is a great idea, but it's way too much work. We've got a day job, we've got customers to serve, we got things to do. We are your team. So, um, and then, I think this is really the difference between all of the AI slop on the internet nowadays and all of the AI slop in marketing is that we are willing to work harder than anybody else thinks is reasonable. And that's the difference, I think, between real craftsmanship and the garbage that's going on. And honestly, the garbage is going to work for some industries better than others. But I think aviation is the worst industry to try untested, untried, robotic, repetitive, non-craftsman-like marketing, right? Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty much it for this session.